Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynic Alex. Long time no see. I know I took a break from this channel and I'll probably make a video about it later, explaining just why I did that. But for now, I want to focus on the positives. And here we have a huge one. Marvel Future Revolution is now live for everyone. It's not in soft launch. It's not only for Canadians, it's for everybody. So yeah, if you haven't already downloaded it, go to your App Store, Play Store, and you'll probably see it there. And so what I wanted to cover, I want to do a few videos covering the basics, covering tips and tricks, and really allow you to accelerate your account progress and dodge all of the pitfalls that I encountered first playing. It feels like forever ago, but it was just 2 months ago, right at the beginning of July. So first things first, we're going to tackle which hero you should select. Now, obviously, this is going to have, you're going to have people arguing in favor of any of the characters because there's 8 to choose from. They're all quite unique and different. They represent heroes, they represent humans, they represent mutants, they represent, all different spaces and corners of the Marvel universe. So I want to start off by saying I have not, two things I want to say off really at the start of the beginning. I don't have one particular character that I think is just head and shoulders above the rest. Kudos to the Marvel Future Revolution dev team. They did a very good job balancing these characters. Some characters certainly better for certain pieces of content than others, because not any one character is going to be best at every single piece of content, and that is the definition of balance, right? You're better at some things and you're worse at other things. So that's always how it's going to be, or how it should be if things are balanced. But really, the most important thing to remember is play the characters that you like, right? Don't be a slave to the meta. Don't be worried about choosing the strongest hero, because more like 90% of the effort and 90% of the power of your character is going to come through your consistent play and through decisions that you make when you're actually playing the game. There's nothing inherently stronger in a big way about any one of these characters. So that's the first thing I want to say. Pick the character that you want to play. Don't worry about, rankings and tier lists and things like that. And plus, there's only 8 characters. You're not going to make a mistake. Second thing I want to point out is I actually haven't played all of these characters thoroughly. I have extremely high experience with Doctor Strange, as you can see, very, very high power and level 100. I have pretty good exposure to Black Widow and Captain America because they are both near level 100 and near 300,000 power. But after that, we do start to, go down with them. 82 with Iron Man, 54 with Storm, 42 with Spider-Man, and then I really did not get a chance to end up playing much with Captain Marvel and Star-Lord. So take that for what it means. Obviously, my opinion is going to be a little bit skewed if I had to choose the best character or the most optimal character to start with. I can't really consider Star-Lord and Captain Marvel for that honorable mention or whatever, because I just don't have the experience playing with them. But where I don't have experience, I always listen to what other players are telling me. I see what other players are doing. I look at the leaderboards and I see which characters are topping them, and that's always going to give you an additional layer of information that you otherwise wouldn't have, right? Like, I don't have infinite hours in the day to play all of these characters for thousands of hours to get a perfect opinion, but I can find out, and I can see through a cross-section of just asking people. I asked 100 people on Discord if they played Star-Lord. We had like 5 Star-Lords. We had like a dozen Captain Marvels, but it was obviously heavily skewed towards other characters. That has to do with popularity as well as power, but you got to take both of those things into consideration if you're going to make one of these kind of videos anyways. So, I've waffled on for long enough. Here we go. In my opinion, I do think that the best characters to start with are the ones that are going to be the easiest to play from start to finish. Because although all of these characters are balanced, some of them are going to rely on stats or abilities that you're going to unlock much, much later. And some of them are also going to be reliant on their base stats getting to a high enough level through through enhanced potential and things like that, in order to make a noticeable difference. Right, so the scaling also matters for these characters. For example, dodge is a really important stat, but having a little bit of dodge is not really going to help you, whereas having a lot of dodge is going to help you, right? So that amount of dodge that you have, there's a break point for where it starts to actually matter, but it's certainly not, like the first 5% dodge is certainly not as important as the last 5%, right? Going from 0 to 5% dodge, you're not going to notice a difference. But if the max for dodge is 100% and you go from 95 to 100%, that could be huge. That could be a huge bump. So for that reason, I'm not really that hot on Spider-Man as a character to start with, because dodging is one of his primary stats, and it's something that I think he doesn't really tap into in the early game. They're certainly not difficult to play, but I do think that he's gonna blossom later on. He's more of a late bloomer type character. So I'm not gonna go through every single character because I do want to keep these videos pretty short and pretty lean. But I do think my top 4 characters, and I'll choose 4 because that's 50% of all the characters. My top 4 characters, if I had to start a brand new account, I would say Doctor Strange is definitely one of them. I'm not going to put these characters in any particular order, so you can just basically decide. But I do think Doctor Strange is one of the best characters to start with, and I'll explain my thinking after I go through the list. I think Storm is also one of the 4 best characters to start with if you're just looking to have the smoothest, simplest, and most comfortable transition from any other game, especially if you're coming from a game like Marvel Future Fight, which I know a lot of you guys are. I think that Captain America is also one of the top 4 characters to start with. And then finally, I actually do think Black Widow is one of the top 4 characters to start with. So it's funny, the 4 characters that I leveled up the most are the 4 that I think are the best to start with. But now I'll go into a little bit of an explanation of why I think that is. So for Doctor Strange, I will admit, okay, I will say this, as good as I think he is to start as a first character, I do think that Doctor Strange does slow down a lot at the end game. So although he's a lot better, in my opinion, in the beginning, in the middle, towards the end, especially post level 100 when you're doing Dark Zone and things like that, I do think Doctor Strange, oh cool. I do think Doctor Strange does struggle a little bit and does fall behind. So even though I love the character and even though I've spent so much time, building him up and really maxing him out, I do think that there are stronger characters endgame. So again, my opinion is not really biased in the sense that I'm not just telling you to build these characters because I think they're just the best because I like them the most. But Doctor Strange is one of the easiest characters to start the game with. And the reason for that is that he gets very strong skills early on. So this is the thing that I want to highlight here. Not every character has, for example, a skill that has invincibility, so iframes. Some skills have iframes, and then some skills will also have invincibility as well. So astral projection, this is this sort of ethereal skill. This is the one that I'm highlighting specifically for Doctor Strange. And as you can see here, the mastery, the ability of this skill starts from level 1, from the very first level of skill. So you don't unlock it right away, but I think by level 10 or less, you've unlocked this skill. And you can see it says becomes ethereal and moves through enemies, becomes invincible while ethereal. So you're given an invincibility skill really early on in the game, and that becomes so clutch for introducing you to the game mechanics, allowing you to learn and really understand, what you can get, what kind of damage you can get away with taking versus ones that you absolutely have to dodge. And unlike other games, this game does have a dodge button at the bottom here, but you're gonna be spamming it at the beginning, especially when you're getting used to the cooldowns and you're getting used to how long you have. It's a free ignore the damage button, right? So of course you're gonna want to press that as much as possible. But then what's gonna happen is you're gonna press it too many times, it's gonna go on cooldown like mine is, and then you're gonna press it and nothing's gonna happen. That's where the invincibility skill of a character like Doctor Strange, especially since you get it so early on, helps. So in a lot of ways, Doctor Strange to me is very similar to Storm, and that's why Storm is one of my other top 4 picks. Now, unlike Doctor Strange, Storm gets her invincibility skill much later. She unlocks it at like level 77, but she will get a defensive ability where she creates this like snow ice around herself early on. It's just that ability doesn't grant her invincibility until later. It just grants her increased defense. But increased defense is really good, just not as good as pure invincibility. However, I would say that a really good comparison between Storm and Doctor Strange is that Storm has more damage, more AoE, which is obviously very, very good for going through the story because there's so many mobs, but she has less defenses. On the flip side, Doctor Strange has less damage, less AoE, but he's got more defenses and he's got more crowd control ability. So he can sort of stall the fight longer. But the thing with stalling is, if you're going to take too much damage and die anyways, then stalling doesn't work. So I think if you're the type of player that can play well proficient, and you can play proficiently by moving the joystick and dodging, you might actually have a more better time with Storm than Doctor Strange. But if you're really a beginner to these type of joystick games, then I would say Doctor Strange is probably the easiest one to start with, because you're given that easy invincibility button every, like, you know, 7 or 10 seconds that you can just use as a get out of jail free card, almost from when you start leveling him all the way up to level 100. And people still use it. I still use it in PvP. It's still a great skill. And then we come to Black Widow and Captain America. Captain America is pretty straightforward. He punches and he kicks, and he has really, really high defenses. The reason why I think Captain America is a good first pick for your character is because he's just very straightforward. He doesn't have any flashy tricks. You can see what's going on the screen, and you can really learn more about the game, but there's going to be more of an emphasis on active play. Unlike some other characters, Captain America doesn't have as much crowd control, doesn't have as much AoE, so you are going to have to take a more active role. So if you're the type of player that wants to autoplay more often, then I think some of these other AoE focused characters are better. But if you really want to get your hands deep into the game's mechanics right from the beginning, Captain America, right? He's going to throw you right into the fire. You're going to have to learn how to dodge. You're going to have to learn how to position yourself, because he's always face to face, right? He's always right in front of his enemy, and I showcased that with the Thanos fight, how with Captain America you absolutely have to be dodging behind him when he's doing that charge up attack, and you can't even use some of Captain America's skills because they will position you awkwardly, and then you'll take extra damage. So he's very much a hands-on character, and that obviously sounds like a bit of a negative, a disadvantage, but what you end up getting is a character who, as he progresses, becomes exceedingly tanky. He becomes so hard to kill. He can basically self-heal because he creates this bubble, and he then becomes a support type because that bubble applies to all allies. So you're going to get sort of an everlasting value pick with Captain America, because unlike other heroes, everyone wants a Captain America on their team. Whether you're doing Dark Zone, whether you're doing Blitz, Raid, you always want a Captain America on your team, especially as the content gets harder. That shield is going to be invaluable. And then last but not least, we have Black Widow. Black Widow is probably a little bit easier to play than Captain America, but I think Black Widow is still going to require a lot of active play because she has low defenses and low HP. But what she lacks in that, she makes up for with some very straightforward heavy offense mechanics, right? She has a snipe skill. She has another skill where she shoots a bunch of like lasers from her wrist. She throws out these electricity sort of traps, and you combine that, right? The big synergy with Black Widow is you combine that with her ultimate ability, and with her ultimate ability, she goes invisible. So it's just this very intuitive gameplay of like, I'm running around, I'm dodging the boss's mechanics. Okay, now I'm gonna go invisible, and then I'm gonna pop my skill. And it's just this 1-2 combo. She has this very satisfying, very effective 1-2 combo. I go invisible, which also provides a layer of defense, and then I'm gonna pop the snipe. And the damage is big, you see nice big numbers, right? So it's a very satisfying play style that we actually don't see in pretty much any other character. There are other characters that have big burst skills, but no one bursts as hard. Sorry, Storm. No one bursts as hard as Black Widow, especially once you level up and you really invest in the snipe combo and the other combo. And we saw that because they already had to nerf it. They nerfed that combo by like 30%. That's how powerful it was, and she's still strong despite the nerf. So you really do get a very unique character, in my opinion, and a character that really plays like no other because of the way that she combos her ult with her skills, and it helps you understand the flow of combat better as well because her ult has multiple charges, right? So you'll learn to budget your animations and budget your skills and the skill presses, because unlike other games like Marvel Future Fight, etc., you don't just spam your skills. You have to take it slow, you have to go, step by step, and because of that, I think Black Widow is a really good first option. But that being said, there is absolutely nothing wrong with choosing Iron Man as a first option. Huge damage, support abilities, amazing soundtrack, really, really cool looking skins. SpiderMan is amazing as well, super strong in PvP with the webbing. If you catch anyone without debuff immunity, you're basically going to cripple them. Captain Marvel has insane power, and she ramps insanely when she ults, so she has a really satisfying combo in that sense. And then Star-Lord has sort of a mixture of everything, but he's got a lot of crowd control, he's got a lot of disruption, and he stacks tons of elemental weaknesses like lightning, flame, like burn, and ice, chill. So he does, really provide a lot of support in that sense. So yeah, hopefully this video has been helpful to you guys. Hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know who you are starting off with. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.